Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be reacting to Is Tradition Good or Bad? So you can't say it is good or it is bad, because not all traditions are good, not all traditions are bad. So long as the tradition is good, that's not being forced on anyone, and the family or whatever it is accepts it and continues it, then it's generally speaking a good tradition. But of course there are some bad traditions, but I'm sure he's probably talking about something else kind of similar but different. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay. Old traditions. Look, you are at Eton College. This is a traditional school, one of the most oldest school, ancient schools. Traditions have an important role in any society, including the Hindu society. Never underestimate the power of tradition. The reason is this. In a way, it shows a continuity with your background. You like to have a continuity. Suppose you start this in a disjointed manner.
Oh, before we continue, that's a good point. It's a continuation of your background, something that, like say Christmas tradition, whatever it is that you've grown up as a child, that your parents continue the tradition from their grandparents, from their grandparents, from their parents, from the grandparents, and then something that you do to your child as well as a tradition. It's
Start from scratch every time. Then your background is very, very limited, very shallow. So if you have a continuity, that's why you're looking for your roots, if you like. So tradition in a way links you with your roots, whether good or bad or mixed up.
Oh yeah.
But in a way it gives you a continuity and gives you greater stature, greater foundation. So traditions are important, but the important thing is traditions come with a health warning. There are certain things which are traditional, which the society is outgrown. So it's time to perhaps reject or evolve our traditions. But sometimes what happens is that in the process of evolution, we kick out the best things we possess in the past and pull in the worst thing that you could perhaps want to incorporate in your system. I'll give you an example. I went to a wedding, some ceremony yesterday, and it was the mixture of the worst of Hindu tradition and the worst of the Western tradition. While the slokas were being recited, the holy scriptures were being recited, they were serving beer and people were holding beer cans and taking it. And that destroyed the sanctity of the whole event, you see. It's one thing to allow traditions to move on, to evolve, and yet there are serious dangers because evolution can happen in the wrong direction. And I saw that last night, I was shuddering. It destroyed the sanctity. The pujari was doing this. He came to me and said, Mr. Lakhani, what can I do? The vibrations are destroyed. There are people like drinking beer while I'm reciting. I said, what to do, my friend? He said, if I don't play along, I lose my job. But I said, I can be very rough and tell the Hindus, you got it wrong.
Oh, that was really quick. So that's interesting. I'm guessing the Western portion was the drinking alcohol part. Oh man, I mean, yeah, definitely. I don't get me wrong. Like, you have to let the Westerners know it's like, hey, we're gonna do this a traditional Indian style or whatever it may be, and these are the rules. They can either accept or reject, and that's fine. But you can't just invite them to the wedding. They don't know what the rules are. They assume like any other wedding, and then they just party it out because that's what they do, I guess. So you have to, whenever you do a traditional wedding and invite anyone, do let them know the rules of the wedding. What they have to dress, what they have to wear, and when they can and can't do things. Because it's like, you can't drink during the wedding, you can't drink during the dance, but after party, you can smash your face with drinks all day long. So, and sometimes there could be a new tradition, like you said, a tradition that maybe mix the two, to both the terrible things where they do the Indian tradition with mixed in with the alcohol drinking, even though it ruins the original tradition of it. It could be a new tradition for their family alone. But that's the thing about tradition. It goes back to what I believe and think about, like food. And it makes me think about the Japanese culture, and probably honestly a lot of other cultures out there who they make a traditional meal, right? Whatever it may be, and then they see, like, what is it? Because America has so many different cultures mixed in with many different kinds of food, that they see the American culture bastardize the food, because it's not traditional. It's not made the same way, or it's not prepared the same way. And they say this like, oh, that's trash. That's not good. It's like, well, you're a bit too extreme in your tradition. I do believe in keeping traditional food, or tradition in general, but also to be able to expand on that, and maybe people to create their own, well, not necessarily create their own tradition, but to create their own new thing. And then if that becomes a tradition for them, that's fantastic. And it's a tradition that's mixed between whatever culture and whatever culture, and that they make that their own tradition. But that doesn't mean that this tradition and this other tradition are now completely destroyed because this one couple or one whatever it is becomes their own tradition. It's like traditions are not so fragile that by changing something to something a little bit different than the original tradition destroys it. That's the only reason why I think of Japanese, because they are very traditional, like highly traditional, I do believe, at least from last time I've searched. And I'm pretty sure most cultures do have these traditional extremists, but I don't know if anyone has it, say, as much as the Japanese, because of their culture, the older culture. Trying to think, does America have it? No, America doesn't have that, because America is so diverse in the sense that it doesn't have its original culture. Its original culture is the culture of everyone else combined, in a sense. It turns whatever into American whatever. So you got the buffets, Chinese buffets. Probably most of the food in that stuff is not Chinese. It has some Chinese origin, but probably not. Japanese sushi. There are some authentic sushi chefs in the US, but most sushi places are probably, not quite completely traditional sushi, but close enough. Americanized, I suppose. So there is this pull between ultra traditional tradition and then just kind of someone trying to create a combination of traditions from whatever traditions they can pull from their own tradition into the new modern world. And whenever what he was talking about the transition from traditions, because they're maybe too old in times that no longer is acceptable, whatever that may be, you can modify it, but that becomes bastardized because it's no longer true tradition, but it's been modified tradition. That goes along with what I was just saying earlier about Japanese, or the food, or the traditions of different cultures. Anyways, that's my reaction to, is tradition a good or bad thing? Generally speaking, the good traditions that are meant to keep families together, or meant to show a long lineage of positive things, like swordsmiths, or I don't know, whatever hobbies are out there that people have kept through traditions, I do believe to be a good thing. And of course, there's bad ones. Anyways, that's my reaction to this. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.